drowned in lies, where corruption and evil reign. This summer, the fight for truth continues. The Red Pill Project, Alpha Warrior, DEFCON ZERQ.
Another head hangs slowly, child is slowly taken. The violence causes silence. Who are we taken? With their tanks and their bombs and their guns and their guns, the Warhead, they're crying. The Warhead, this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. What's the
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. There is nothing the political establishment will not do.
DEFCON ZERQ.
What's up, brother?
What's up, Alpha? Back at it, episode 2, DEFCON ZERQ, people. Are we ready for it?
I'm freaking stoked, man. Let me get our banner up and going real quick. So we got that on the screen. Everybody do us a solid. Let's everybody know that episode 2 has started. So content is free. Like, share, subscribe, tag some people, put it on their different social media. We almost hit 100,000 views on episode 1, bro.
I love it. I love it. Because, you know, at the very least, whether we're right or wrong, right? The thing is we get people talking, we get people communicating, we get people questioning what's really happening. And I think that's the most important part, is that, firstly, I will state this. This is one of my mottos at the Red Pill Project, and I take this everywhere I go. Never believe anything anybody tells you, no matter who they are or what authority they possess or profess, unless you can prove it with your own research, your own investigation, through your own inquiry, and through your own volition. And that's truthful, whether it's Alpha, me, Donald Trump, or it doesn't matter. Never believe it. Research yourself. Go out there, deep dive, investigate. And don't just research surface level things. If someone says, check out, 10 USC 3228, don't just go and look at it and say, yep, that's exactly what they said. Deep dive into the meaning behind it, where that comes about from, derives from. Go down to a foundational analysis of things. And I think that if the Q movement means anything to me, it's that. It's exactly what I just said there, is that get a base foundational understanding of knowledge on what's happening and build from that point. Because using the Socratic method, that's what Q did to us. He asked us the important questions to make us go out there and go, well, what is that? And the cool thing is that this was all public domain information. It was already there for you to see, except it was buried. It was buried by FOIA requests. It was buried by our government. It was buried by the mainstream media, who never reported on it, but it was all right there for us to see. We just had to be pointed in the right direction by the right questions. And so I'm excited to be on Badlands tonight with Alpha, doing part 2 of this. Man, this is gonna be fire. This is good, man.
Listen, it's good to shake things up every now and then. It's good to break the mold and say, you know what, I'm going to make a path and go this way. And you guys are definitely going to get that with this show. But before we do that, we're going to pay some bills real quick. So we'll run through our 2 brilliant sponsors for tonight. Then we'll come back. We'll do a real quick recap. And hopefully by then, you guys have all shared this out, whether you're watching on YouTube, shout out to our family over there, whether you're watching on X, shout out to our Badlands X family, or definitely watching on Rumble. So with that, let's get to these sponsors, and we'll be back in just a second. First on deck, you guys, have you heard about President Trump's impact on gold? Every time Trump name surges in the headlines, gold goes with it. It happened the day he took office, and it's still going up. Gold doesn't just like Trump, it rallies around him. If you bought gold the day he became president, you'd be almost up $400 at an ounce by now. Here's the thing, gold has been used as a store of value for centuries. The government can easily manipulate it, and it's known as a hedge against market risk and inflation. How high will the price of gold go under Trump's second term? Will gold continue to break records after 2025 and beyond? Learn about the IRS loophole that allows you to diversify your savings with gold and silver tax and the penalty free with a free copy of the gold and silver kit sent directly to your doorstep. Plus, you could qualify for up to 10% instant match in a bonus silver. Visit badlandsgold.com to learn how you can add gold to your portfolio. Again, that's badlands.gold. And then our next one, conscious strength.
What's up, Badlanders? It's summer, it's hot, you're probably sweaty and dehydrated, which is why you could use a nice tall glass of electrolytes from Conscious Strength. Instead of sugar-laden Gatorade full of food dye,
you're drinking the wrong water.
These electrolytes are naturally flavored and sweetened. Zero sugar, so they're keto-friendly. The sodium comes from pink Himalayan sea salt, and they have a healthy dose of magnesium and potassium to help you replenish and recover. And at less than $1 a serving, they're cheaper than those sports drinks and most big-name electrolyte brands. Drink your electrolytes on a hot day to rehydrate. They're great pre or post-workout, and also awesome for a hangover recharge. And for the rest of July, they're 15% off. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/strength to grab your can. Plus, use promo code Badlands for an extra 5% off and to support your favorite grassroots media company. One more time, that's badlandsmedia.tv/strength. Link will be in the description below.
All those links in the description below. It is game time now, folks. Josh, let's recap episode 1, and then let's get into
it. I was just thinking, I got to hire Jordan to do our ads, man. I mean, it's just, man, he's such a natural at it. All right, recap.
Dude, he's got
the look. He's got the poise. All right. Recap from episode 1, the plan to save the world. In that episode, we talked about the pre-history of Q. Prior to Q, really what happened. We got a little bit into the formation of Q and my thoughts and opinions on that. And I'll be very clear, thoughts and opinions on that, because I don't want to butthurt anybody out there. But we talked about stolen military secrets. Now, people are like, where do you get that information from and all this stuff? There's a lot of places I get this information from. A lot of this I was involved with in the context of being active duty military 2001 to 2010, being in Washington, D.C. in 2008. I met somebody out there, a former 4-star admiral. I'll say admiral. He was an admiral. I usually say general because I don't want to give up the person's identity, who introduced me to all of these things, who led me down the road and said, dude, you need to start looking here and investigating these things. He used the Socratic method and told me to look at these things. And I started looking and investigating back then. I never really wanted to do podcasts. This wasn't my thing. Then I had a family, and it really didn't come to fruition until all of a sudden I see the same things that I was learning and understanding about years before start showing up on the boards. And that was like, oh my goodness, it's happening. And so a lot of what we talked about last week was Hillary Clinton, stolen military secrets. We talked about 2 different events. The Minot, North Dakota, Brent Spears incident. We also talked about the 2008 incident at the Defense Logistics Agency in Utah, and how both of these were not what they seemed in the context of military operations or military scandals that unfolded. In other words, someone was stealing military secrets and information. This all culminates to an intelligence operation that begins to uncover the deep state, right? So we had NSA military side going out there trying to find out who is the deep state. Who are these people selling military secrets to foreign adversaries, China? And that was being run through the NSA. Well, then we get a guy, Edward Snowden, who comes in, and he exposes this project at the NSA. Now, there was a great, I don't remember who it was, they said this the other day, and maybe it was Roger Stones or General Flynn. They said, If Edward Snowden was such a patriot and a freedom fighter, why did he only expose that one program at the NSA and no others? He was read into all these other programs. How come he only exposed that one program? And what was that program? If you remember the news clips, they were spying on congressmen, senators. They were spying on defense contractors, military generals, foreign adversaries. Now, why? They were trying to uncover the deep state, and that got shut down, which led to 2012 re-election of Barack Obama, firing over 100 and I think 107 military patriotic generals. And this is where it prompted all of them to begin the process to, okay, we need to figure this out because we just got shut down. This goes to Andrew Breitbart. Pizzagate gets exposed. We see then goes to Michael Hastings. Michael Hastings' point of contact through General McChrystal was Colonel Charles Flynn. Michael Hastings was investigating John Brennan and his connection to new technology assassination weapons that the CIA was using that he was about to expose, utilizing car vehicles as assassination weapons and blaming it on an accident. That's exactly how Michael Hastings actually died. Then over the course of the next few years, we see them trying to expose this, and the NSA text in 2016 talking about Podesta's email with a hash code. We have Pizzagate blow up, WikiLeaks email scandal. All of this stuff begins to come out. It was never Russia releasing this information. Understand that it was the patriots in the NSA who were releasing this information. This is all pre-Q stuff. And then what you have to understand is that the people are brainwashed to a certain point. Everybody was. And we had a transitional point in our history from 2010 to 2015. I call it the blockbuster moment. What do I mean by that is when online streaming came on board, Blockbuster had the chance to sell out to Netflix for $200 million and never took the deal. And instead, Blockbuster basically went out of business because they did not conform to the changing technological landscape. Well, 2010 to 2015, we had massive IT infrastructure being put in place, being able to spool up servers on a moment's notice, any iteration you want, massive cloud storage capacity, which meant that these things worked a heck of a lot better downloading digital content and performing digital content. People were now consuming 30-second, 2-minute videos on Instagram and on Vine and on Twitter instead of watching 30 to 60-minute mainstream media news broadcasts. But the mainstream media was not transitioning over the social media. So it proposed this great idea that what if we can capture the minds of all the people taking part online and utilize psychological warfare techniques for the good, target Christians, patriots, conspiracy theorists, truthers, MAGA. We target these people with a psychological warfare operation that is meant to get them to think, meant to get them to wake up, meant to use a Socratic method to ask the right questions and have these people begin digging. And what's going to happen? And they laid it out. Down the road, they're going to get ejected off of the digital platforms. And when that happens, now that's going to create a revolution to where they will become the media now. And people are going to listen because it's going to confirm exactly what they were saying. And look what happened. We are the media now. And so
100%.
We took it up to that point.
Let me jump in real quick here. We'll save the Rumble rants, folks. We'll read those at the end of the show. But the ones that don't pop up, I'll read them when they come out or when you guys do the gifted subs. So just want to say shout out to Fat Chance who gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you for that. And then shout out to Seamasters who also gifted 5 subscriptions. So thank you for that, folks. With that, I know I interrupted your thought, brother.
No, you're good.
Those will disappear. So I wanted to get to those. I want people to understand this too, is think about how they were able to figure out once they start putting this information out, these people are going to get censored. So they had an element of, now granted, I'm sure you're dealing with predictive analytics, you're dealing with, artificial intelligence. It's probably being used back then, but there's also still a level of faith in the people that the good people, that the digital soldiers, the Anons, the Froggers, they're going to not stand by when this happens to them. And they're going to create an alternate place for them. Now, they're going to throw some bones our way. And I think if we all reflect over the last, 4-6 years, we've seen those places where those bones have been thrown to us. But we've also seen how mainstream media realized, damn, we couldn't stop them from creating alternative platforms when we censored them. So mainstream media, the Mockingbird media, rebranded itself, all of a sudden interjected into Substack, interjected into these alt platforms, infiltrated our very own movement. And
we're seeing those now, FAGA.
Dude, that was glorious. Some of the things you guys are going to hear tonight, we're definitely going to talk about the confirmation of 11.3, 11.3, whatever you want to say. One thing you're going to hear me talk about tonight is there's a lot of people that have said, well, this is outside the statute of limitations, and we're going to walk you in how not only is that legally not the case, but how Q ties into that as well. And Josh, you have something that you want to be talking about, brother.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up a Q post that actually validates a lot of what we were saying last week. Now, when we start talking about how it all began, look at this. 16-year plan to destroy America. Hussein, 8 years. Install rogue operations. Leak counterintelligence and military assets. Cut funding the military. Command away from generals. That was 2012. Launch good guy takedown. Internal removal. Valerie Jelly. Sniffle. And what does it say here? SAP sell-off. Special Access Program sell-off. Snowden open source Prism key score. Catastrophic to the U.S. military versus bad actors worldwide plus clowns. No such agency. What I just told you, that recap, what we talked about in number 1, it's right there. It's right there for everybody to see how this started. It was because of the 16-year plan, because of what Hussein Obama was doing to the government, how he was restructuring everything. They installed rogue operators. They cut military funding. They fired constitutional generals. The deep state was doing what? They were investigating them. Now enter Snowden. So I wanted to show this because it brings a lot of credence to what we talked about last week. Now, a lot of things happened in the last week.
Bro, it's been off
the storm has arrived.
Now, should we play the video to set it up so people know where we're going with this?
Yeah, let's do it. And so I got more on a lot of what we talked about, but we can get into that because I want people to understand FISA-gate is the start. Remember, FISA equals the start. FISA-gate, if you remember, Alpha, do you have the picture of the 3 movies playing all at the same time?
I do not have it on me, but I can grab it.
People remember this. Guardians of the Pedophile, right? 3, 4, 5. Guardians of the Pedophiles, Panic in D.C., and then you have FISA-gate. Well, what just happened? FISA-gate's won. So now it's going to go in reverse. Panic in D.C., Guardians of the Pedophiles. Now you won't know why there's a delay in the Epstein stuff because this is much bigger and integrated. But FISA takes down the House. FISA, you have to look at FISA as a circle around 2016 that arrows go in both directions. They go to 2020. They go to the 2 assassination attempts. So they cover all of the crimes of the deep state and the globalists after 2016, and they cover all of the crimes before 2016. FISA-gate happened because they were covering up their crimes that they had done for the last 8 years before that, which are treason. So let's jump into it, Alpha.
All right, here we go. Let me bring this up on the screen. For those of you that seen it, you will enjoy it again. For those of you that haven't, you're in for a treat right here.
If you look at those papers, they have them stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one they look. He's guilty. It's not a question. I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it. And we have all of the documents. And from what Tulsi told me, she's got thousands of additional documents coming. So President Obama, it was his concept, his idea, but he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill.
He dropped some gems right there. Shout out to NazFan, $10 gifted subscriptions. Thank you for that. You have a sitting president, Josh, that
he said some nuggets in there.
Bro.
So what I want people to understand, number 1 is he says Tulsi's going to release more evidence. There's thousands. They only released a few hundred pages. There's thousands more that are going to be released tomorrow. But what did Trump say? He goes, from what I've read, so this is his intelligence briefings. He says, basically, there doesn't need to be a trial. He's guilty. I've read it. I've seen it. As in, I want people to see this, because when Donald Trump says something like this, you have to know that he knows the fact of it. There is evidence that is going to be released that is undeniable, that shows that Barack Obama was the mastermind behind all of this and coordinated all of this. That's what he just said. He said he's guilty. He's seen the evidence. This means that there is a smoking gun piece of evidence that is going to be released that shows conclusively that Barack, and listen, they can get around sitting in the White House and talking between the 10 of them about all of this stuff and the notes between all the different heads. He can get around that. Executive privilege, right? But when you're talking about a smoking gun evidence, you got to remember what they did. They got Weiner's laptop. They got the Epstein files. They got all of this. But they got Nancy Pelosi's laptop on January 6th. I want people to remember that. But also, they have cell phone records. They have emails. How many times did Barack Obama maybe text Hillary Clinton? What were the texts going between these people? That's what we're about to see. We're Strozek and Page. Remember the text messages? You're about to see something very similar to that come about, where they're planning behind the scenes, because you know why? These people are stupid and they never thought she would lose.
They did not. They did not. Do you want to get into yours first, or do you want to get into some of the Flynn stuff?
I can get into some of this.
Let's
think that
let's do the FISA gate, because
Yeah.
that's gonna set the tone for this stuff. Again, shout out Texas Jules, $5 subscriptions put out there. You guys are freaking awesome. You guys are definitely gonna help me and Josh eat good this week.
So
No
let
fast
me
food.
kind of show some stuff that happened today in preparation for tomorrow, because I think tomorrow is going to be a lot of big booms, and I honestly do. Right? So today, Dan Scavino, for anybody out there, Dan Scavino, Donald Trump are the ones that we watch timestamps with. I don't really watch timestamps for anybody else. I don't watch Q references from anybody else, just Dan Scavino and Donald Trump. Dan Scavino posted this guy right here over Washington, D.C., a nice sunset video. But Alpha, ask yourself, sunset happens at what? Dusk, right? Dark. We go from light to dark, right? So what are the odds that on July 22nd, 2019, dark to light, hunters become the hunted? This is not another 4-year election. What are the odds of that?
I mean, at this point,
Right? But then the timestamp was 2026. The whole world is watching. Trump dossier, Steele report, DOJ, FBI to start doing their job or get the hell out and involved in all of this. And then Payne is coming, the Punisher. That was Scavino today. Well, that wasn't the only one that we had today. We had another one. Deltas for tomorrow. You know, the deltas for tomorrow are kind of interesting, because this is when Trump and Tulsi Gabbard both came out and said that we are about to see more documents released tomorrow. So when we go over here, we get July 23rd, 4613, 3471. We get Catherine Herridge, and then we get John Sullivan. Bigger than most realize. Be ready, Bob Q. And what are these? John Sullivan breaking DOJ review targeting key figures. Conclusion with Mueller report. Prosecutors seek access to Professor Joseph Misfud to determine if any improper surveillance occurred on George Papadopoulos. Then we have declassified records from DNI Radcliffe reveal FBI counterintelligence with security briefing and then candidate Trump, General Flynn, Governor Christie. In other words, tomorrow they're supposed to be releasing more FISA Gate documentation, 1,000 records of it. And the Q deltas for tomorrow are FISA Gate. How did they know? Well, I can take a guess at that. Palantir, predictive analytic AI software that our DoD has had since 2005. And they've been feeding into it through Facebook and Google for the longest time. I believe that that's how they did this, but we'll maybe hopefully one day find out. Either way, those deltas, this is just huge, people. Direct confirmation day in and day out of future proves the past, of everything Q was telling us, of everything that we knew back in 2017, the current date, is coming to a reality and coming to a head right now. And it's all happening before our eyes.
You know, I was gonna say these for later, but I want to interject them right here because they play out. I'm like you. I like to rely on Trump and Scavino. Those are the two predominant ones that I'll rely on for the markers. But someone dropped me a little hint and said, "Hey, start taking a look at General Flynn."
Well, General Flynn too. You can't discount General Flynn.
And so I was just like, "Well, let me go peep it out." So let me bring this up on the screen so everybody can see. This was from General Flynn on July 19th, and we'll go more into this one a little bit later on when I bring up these graphics. But for now, this is West Coast time, so this is really 6/7. This is 8:58 Eastern time, but it's a July 19th one. And so I said, well, let's go peep out July 19th first. And there's I believe there's a total of 17 on there. I'll have to go look again because I found that interesting. But when you go to 4607 right here, let me zoom in on this so people can see it a little bit better. This one right here. 3 stars. Are you ready to serve once again? You.
Now, it's interesting to note that in his post on X, if you go back there, that you have, go to the coup d'etat, America coup d'etat. That's from the Q boards.
It is. We're gonna go there.
Okay.
we're gonna go there. But for now, I wanted to tap into this one on you because when you look up strategy, well, there's some other stuff we'll bring on. But here's the thing: you have General Flynn that posts that the timestamp was what I'm referring to. And again, 4607, 3 stars. Are you ready to serve once again? We've all seen the memes of Trump breaking glass on that. But then when you go to the timestamp, which is 8:58 Eastern for the morning, it brings you right back to
I love it.
Yes, bro. Trust the plan. There's so much more to this one post by Flynn. I mean, the content itself, but I'm plugging it in here because I want people to see this. Like, this is playing out in real time as you're seeing it right now. Who's the one that has been pushing, Crossfire, Hurricane, the Russia hoax, FISA? The general has been slamming on this for the last couple of weeks. And then he wants to go put up that post that has the Q meme that was on there that you reference on July 19th, where it has a post with 3 stars. Are you ready to serve once again? I mean, Josh.
Well, and then Alpha, is it possible that Donald Trump brings in General Flynn as his next national security advisor? And if he does, what would be the purpose? Because there's a lot more information and evidence out there of what has happened. There's bodies of emails out there, right, Alpha?
There is. As a matter of fact, when we were talking about this, Josh hit me up, you guys, and he goes, why Flynn? And of course, my answer is probably like a bunch of you are answering into your TVs right now because he knows where the bodies are buried.
Well, we were talking about emails, right?
Yes.
We were talking about NSA emails. So we're talking about Wiener laptop. We're talking about Clinton emails because I was talking about my SAP programs,
right?
The classified emails. So the question is why would you bring Flynn in? Because he knows he was a part of that operation prior to all that stuff. So why would you bring Flynn in? And I said, well, who knows where the bodies are buried?
And I said, General Flynn, of course, General Flynn.
And I said, what bodies?
And then that's when the light bulb went off.
And I said, email bodies. The bodies of emails. Who knows where the emails are buried? General Flynn.
And that just takes us down a path of just, especially when you just, again, a sitting president that just told the American public, the world, not just the American public, the world, that Obama committed treason.
Yes.
That he planned it. It was his idea. He got some stuff from Hillary, but he's saying, listen, this is the leader of the coup. This is the Manchurian candidate. This is where all eyes are at.
Now it's interesting because a lot of people will tell you that you have to be at war, or there has to be a foreign adversary in order for it to be considered treason. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. You know, who did the DNC? Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and the U.S. Intelligence Agency and all these people, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, all of them collude with.
While you explain that to them, I'm going to try to find that Mike Johnson.
Okay.
Thing I
They
told you about.
colluded with, let me see, Five Eyes Intelligence, Australia, UK, Italy. They colluded with Ukraine, the country of Ukraine. They colluded with China. Well, what do I mean by that? Like I said, FISA-gate opens the doors beyond what we could ever imagine. So what is Josh talking about here? So I'm gonna share a clip with you.
And I did find it. You're
Okay.
gonna love this.
This is a post that I have on my X account at Real Joshua Reid. SAP programs. A classified segment of Clinton's emails were marked ORCON or SAP, Originated, Controlled, and Special Access Program. That means that even Congress couldn't have viewed them without agency permission. Why? Because the intel was so sensitive, it includes things like SIGINT, human, possible covert operations and assets. And then there's two parts at the bottom here, and I want you to pay attention to this. DOD SAP programs and CIA knock list. Alpha, do you remember when China killed all of our CIA agents that we had operating inside of China because the knock list got released?
Yep.
Do you know who was Secretary of State at the time?
Who was Secretary of State?
Hillary Clinton. Now I want you to listen to this right here.
Security, we provided it to SSCI, I believe, and
Can you provide this committee?
By the way, this is Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, ODNI, Inspector General Charles McCullough III. That's Chairman Chaffetz, who's a Republican at the time, who's heading the House Intelligence Committee. This is a 2006, August 4th, 2006 testimony that he's giving. Listen to what he says here.
Security, we provided it to SSCI, I believe, and
Can you provide this committee in a secure format, the classified email?
What I can to a certain extent, I cannot provide a certain segment of them because the agency that owns the information for those emails has limited the distribution on those. So they're characterizing them as ORCON.
Explain what ORCON is.
Originator control. So I can't give them to even Congress without getting the agency's permission to provide them. So they have been provided.
Which agency?
I can't say that here in an open hearing, sir.
So you can't even tell me which agency won't allow us as members of Congress to see something that Hillary Clinton allowed somebody without a security clearance in a non-protected format to see. That's correct?
This is the segment of emails that this is why my letter back to Ranking Member Cummings had to be classified, because people would like to see this segment of emails. And this has been an issue not just with you and your committee, but with several members at this point. So we have gone back to the agency that is involved several times, and we can certainly do that again and ask permission.
Can you generally tell me, is it because they're so sensitive about signals intelligence, human intelligence? What?
We shouldn't get into the content of these emails in an open hearing. I'd be
Okay,
happy to
I don't want to violate that, but
So I want you to understand. What McCullough goes on to say is that these were the most secret programs in the United States government. Now, I got a little hint about what those programs were. There's various parts of this. Now, how do we know that these SAP programs were special access programs that dealt with DoD reverse engineering technology? Hey, Alpha, do you remember David Grush, the UFO whistleblower that came out? Do you know what lawyer represented him?
I don't remember that, no.
It's the former ODNI ICIG Charles McCullough III. And the reason that Charles McCullough III, the same guy you just saw testifying there, represented David Grush, because he was the only guy that had the clearance to be read into the programs that David Grush was talking about.
And David, when he did that testimony, he dropped some things that made people's jaws drop. If you
That's
guys
right.
remember that.
Interdimensional travel, all different types of stuff. That's what we were dealing with in some of Hillary Clinton's emails. Okay? And
one more thing I want to mention, just because it was one that stuck out in my head, and no one's ever been able to really give me a clear answer to it. So I'm curious. I don't think me and you have talked about one of the statements that Grush had made when they asked him, were there life forms on these things? And he said, yes. And I think one of them said, were they aliens? And he says, no, we consider them non-human biologics.
Yeah, non-human biologics or non-human intelligence. Yep.
And I found that very interesting. But just to put in perspective, like this is the
We should
level
do a
of
show on that. I could go deep into that. I actually was in contact with one of the people who was in the Senate in the congressional briefings that overheard a lot of this backdoor testimony. But bring this in. Now, reopening the Clinton email investigation SAP program breach. Special access programs were exposed to China through Hillary Clinton's private server. ICIG Charles McCullough III, the man who blew the whistle on the Clinton email scandal. January 2016, McCullough notified Congress Clinton's private server contained several dozen top secret SAP level emails. These SAPs were so sensitive they couldn't even be viewed outside of a SCIF. He later testified behind closed doors to the House and Senate Intel committees. 2018, he confirmed, we were shocked and faced intimidation from the Obama administration. Jake Sullivan, Hillary Clinton's then, at the time, Secretary of State Chief of Staff, was the one who put her on the email distribution list of these SAP Intel programs. Hillary's server auto-forwarded it to Chinese-linked Gmail address. China got access to our most classified military research. This wasn't an access. This wasn't an accident. Clinton had 117 emails on her server that were top secret SAP level. Where did they come from? Jake Sullivan. We can go into Jake Sullivan a little bit. Not really too much here, but understand that she was sending these and there was a script that was running that was basically sending them to this Gmail address. So the question is what was in those emails? Many SAP programs overlapped in university research funded by NASA, NHI, DOD, and DOE. Then came the arrest under Trump's China initiative. What was in those SAP programs? This is what I talked about last week. It was professors and universities who were getting access to these SAP programs. Everybody remembers Charles Lieber, nanotech, quantum materials, NHI, NIH, and DOD grants. You have a Ming Hu, funded by NASA, mechanical and biomedical engineering. Zhang Cheng, energy systems, thermal science, DOE grants. Feng Tao, nanoscience. Meiqing Zhao, mathematics, NSF grants. Simon Eng, electrical engineering, NASA grants. Xingji Li, neuroscience, NIH funding. Zheng Dongshen, NASA funded, nanotech, chemical engineering. Zhonghua Zheng, immunology, NIH. And there's 30 more other professors arrested during this time whose names were never released due to national security. So you have to understand that Hillary Clinton was selling SAP programs directly to China for pay to play. That is collusion with a foreign adversary, which equates to treason. Now, Barack Obama knew about this. Now, was there ever a time that any of that led to the death of Americans? Well, absolutely. We know Benghazi. We all know Benghazi. We all know the Navy SEALs that died, right? Which one? It was, what was the name of the Chinook that went down?
Extortion 17.
Extortion 17, right? But there's more here. Remember 2010 to 2012, the major security breach due to a compromised CIA knock list led to the deaths or imprisonment of numerous covert agents in China. Just remember, it was the same time that Hillary Clinton had a private email server sending TSSCI, ORCON, and SAP programs emails to China.
One of the other things you said, Josh, is that we got to be at war.
We are at war.
100% we're at war. And you have President Trump, if you guys rewind the clock all the way back to COVID, he said, what did he say? We're at war. China's attacked us with this. That was the first one. But then I want to bring you guys into Mike Johnson. I want to play this clip. When Mike Johnson became the Speaker of the House, he was giving, I don't want to say a speech, but he was talking, and he makes this statement. And I'm going to play it real quick. And then and we'll get into it. So let me bring it up on the screen. And I want you guys to listen to Speaker Mike Johnson and hear what he has to say here. It's less than a minute.
As has been articulated here, around the world, and here at home, we need steady leadership. We need steady hands at the wheel. Look, I regard myself as a wartime speaker. I mean, in a literal sense, we are. I knew that when I took the gavel. I didn't anticipate that this would be an easy path. Former Speaker Newt Gingrich posted a couple days ago on his.
This congressman destroyed.
We're in dangerous.
So
literal interpretation is what he says.
He made sure to say that. He also said, I knew that when I took the position. Who was communicating with him before he became Speaker of the House? Who was trying to get him in there?
Trump.
President Trump.
Yep. He's at war times, and he says, and so if people are wondering where the war is, it's in the invisible enemy. It's the silent war. It is the infiltration instead of invasion. And to kind of bring context to all this, how do we map Obama and the Democrats to foreign adversaries? We got Hillary Clinton. I mean, that's pretty easy. We can find treason for Hillary Clinton. But what about Obama? Well, go to the 2020 election. You know, do you find it interesting that DNI Ratcliffe on January 17th, 2020 puts out his assessment of the 2020 election and says what? He says that China absolutely interfered with our election. Now, when the Trump administration comes back in, we find out that China was creating fake identities and registering people to vote, fake people to vote, right? And they also released COVID. COVID is the reason that the Democrats had the states change the laws for mail-in voting. So at the same time that China's registering fake people to vote through mail-in ballots, they released COVID. The same time the Democrats are positing the states to change their laws for mail-in ballots. As in, who did the Democrats collude with to steal the 2020 election? China. As in, a foreign adversary. In other words, treason. Now, this is a belligerent, this means that from 2016 to 2020, or to 2025, our country was under a belligerent occupation, people. It doesn't get any more simpler than this. Trump was president, but never fully president. He was surrounded, undermined, and restricted. Declassified documents were buried. His directives were slow-walked and ignored. Every action was leaked, framed, and sabotaged. Courts and agencies were packed with loyalists to the deep state regime. In legal terms, this amounts to a belligerent occupation, the unlawful control of sovereign government functions by a hostile power. It is interesting to note that in the Law of War Manual, a belligerent occupation is ended in section 11.3, which on the cue boards, in terms of that, verifies the first marker, the end of the occupation of the United States of America started on 1/20/2025. Trump reaffirmed this symbolically on the Army's 250th anniversary by marching troops and tanks down the street of Washington, D.C., and then 4 days later, raising the new flags and 88-foot flag posts at the White House, signaling the transition of power, that the belligerent occupation was over and the United States of America, the Republic, was back.
You brought up China, brother, and you brought up 11.3, and I want to bring your attention to this one, 4524, all the way on the far right. Okay, make it a little bit bigger if you guys, let me see.
Click on the arrow to the right of it. See the arrow in the post right there, the right arrow on the right-hand corner? Yep, click on that.
Can you see it, or let me make it a little bit bigger?
There you go.
All right, there's a little bit better. June 25th, 2020 is the date. 4524 is the post. It's a Twitter post, and it says, "Good catch. Coincidence? Important people understand for future events. Assumption or intel base. All assets, kill brackets F, kill brackets D, deployed. D plus China equals 11.3.
Now, what does that mean? Deep state plus China equals 11.3, as in, when you neutralize China and the deep state, 11.3 first marker begins. Now, interesting enough, did you see some of these classified documents that were declassified that came out yesterday?
A few of them. I haven't had a chance to go through all of them. Most of the ones I went through, actually, shout out to John that put them out there. Those are the ones that I got to see.
Yep, I want to bring something up here. Now, you saw how in that post, if you look at that post again, you see how the D of Democrats or deep state is in parentheses. Did you know that is only used in legal, intelligence, and academic circles? Look at this that was released yesterday.
No.
Democrat Party.
I saw that yesterday, and that got past me. I didn't catch that.
As in, whoever wrote the cue boards was
100%.
either a lawyer, intelligence.
Dude, holy smokes on that, bro. That's a good catch.
Mm-hmm.
That's a damn good catch right there.
But so when you see D in kill brackets, which I think is Democrats deep state, plus China equals 11-3 first marker. Well, what happened? That was the collusion that they did from 2016 to 2025 to try to overthrow the United States of America, what they didn't expect for. And the reason why the 2020 occupation of the Biden debacle that came in for 4 years didn't work because of us. Because we took back over the idea of information, because we are the media. You know, Alpha, you go back to the idea of a multi-domain battlefield. You go to space, land, sea, air, cyber. These are all different domains on the battlefield. But here's the thing, is there's one domain that encompasses them all and interweaves them. It's the information domain. And what did Flynn say? We have to redefine the idea of information. Digital soldiers, digital warriors, we are the reason that from 2020 to 2024, Biden, Obama, the deep state did not succeed. Because the mainstream media had already lost power and control. The majority of the people were getting their news and information from Badlands, from Alpha, from Josh, from people like us, because they no longer trusted the mainstream media because of a 7-year-long campaign to ingrain it into people's minds that they do nothing more than lie and usurp the American people. So by the time 2020 came and they played their final card to steal the election, it was already over because they had lost the domain of information.
Speaking of by land, by air.
Oh, dude, you saw that too?
By sea. I'm going to bring it up on the screen right now. You have Ivanka Trump that this past week posted this.
It's not her first time posting that. She posted something very similar to that back in like 2019 or 2018. But I find it really interesting because 1, if by land, 2, if by sea.
And this is 1.
Now, interesting enough, that is 1. And what did we just see start? The first movie. And it's by land, which means that the first movie is domestic, the deep state. If by land means that they're already here.
Listen, there's a lot of different shout outs I'll give with the by land that's been unfolding.
Oh, let's hear it.
So, well, 1, you have what they call as an immigration issue, or an immigration crisis. That was an invasion. We all know it was an invasion. We know by the age of the military age males that came through, the ones that didn't have families. We know that specifically, aside from the ones from the Middle East, we saw a large amount of military age males that came from China. And so when you're talking by land, I think this is one of the things that she's referencing with that invasion. And again, this goes back to, we didn't have a chance to ever talk about this on DEFCON. We did talk about it on my show. This was a couple months ago, Josh, if you remember. For those that don't know, we have the largest U.S. military presence right now at the southern border.
Right.
In the history of the United States.
20,000 plus troops.
Now, with that, Josh, but we have the border secured over 99%.
That's right.
We've pretty much shut down human trafficking as well as narcotics trafficking at the southern border, but we're still maintaining the largest military presence.
Well, it's why the No Kings riots never happened.
Exactly.
Because here's the key for everybody out there. When you have Hezbollah Unit 910, Al Qaeda, Taliban, when you have ISIS-K that came over the border for the last 4 years, that have infiltrated our sanctuary cities and other various cities in our country, and we're not talking about hundreds, we're not talking about thousands, we're talking about tens of thousands of terrorists. We're talking about probably 1 million Chinese military age males that came over the border. This is an army sleeping in the United States of America. if they began their reign of hell, taking one city over at a time, just imagine if you had 100 terrorists in one city. Fuck that. If you just had 20 terrorists in one city, and they broke up into 4 groups of 5. You have one group of 5 go become active shooters on one side of the city. They get an all call to that area. Police all respond. They're never going to catch all of them all at once. It's going to be hours long operation. In the midst of that, the other 4 teams of 5 go take out telecommunications. They take out power. They take out water, and they take out armories. They lock down police stations, just like the dry run during the George Floyd riots. They take down National Guard armories. And guess what? The National Guard and the military would not be able to deploy within 48 hours to those cities, which means that they would be lost. It'd be Fallujah all over again.
Let me add some more terrible news to that equation, Josh. We also talked about this, and I'm glad we're having this conversation now so people get context. This is the severity of this by land thing. You know who had police stations inside the United States? What country?
China. New York City, LA, San Francisco, Chicago.
A lot of the main cities that were named in this No Kings protest were the same cities that had these Chinese CCP police stations. Now, I've asked around, nobody's been able to give me clear information on this outside of we don't know, but we suspect it, is they were tapped into I won't give the name of the database, but the databases that we use in law enforcement. Now, people would say, well, why is this important? Because if you want to run people that own firearms and want to know where they live, that database is going to have it if those firearms are registered. So now you're talking about the CCP that has this mass deployment of troops that are on U.S. soil that also know where the people are that own the firearms that would be a threat to them. Why is that important? Because if you were going to strategically place these units around the country, you're gonna place the stronger ones in the areas where you know that there's a high volume of potential people that would do this. Now, who else? Okay, but there's a lot of people that own firearms, Alpha. Yeah, there is. But you know who else? What the FBI, the corrupt FBI did during January 6th? It had a list through predictive analytics and other stuff of the exact Americans who would be the kind that would lead a revolution, who would lead a civil war, who would take on this. So when you combine the intel and the data that they got from January 6th and combine that with the information that the CCP had access through their CCP police stations in the States, now you know exactly who to target if you were going to do, an internal, facade civil war and attack from the inside, the interior of America. That's why that is so dangerous.
Incredibly. And so why the 20,000 troops at the southern border? Because instead of a 48-hour response time, Donald Trump can deploy the military who's already active, already ready, already outfitted anywhere in the country within a matter of 2 hours.
And the proof is in the pudding because he did it in Los Angeles.
Because he did it in Los Angeles. And if they started rising up in cities, you would see the 101st Airborne paratrooping into these cities within hours. And those people will be screwed.
And this is how you know when you study the boards and you study Trump and the statements that he makes, how he's multiple steps ahead. Why? What was one of the first things he had Pam Bondi do with the name? What did we recognize the cartels as?
Terrorist organizations.
Terrorist organizations. And so a lot of people said, well, how in the world was President Trump able to deploy, the military troops without having you some, asking for it? Well, because what did Trump say in some of those things? We know MS-13's in there. And we know cartel illegals are in there. And what did he deem them? Terrorist organizations. Yep. So it gave him the ability to make these extended military operations from the border to combat these terrorist units that were in there. And so we could do a whole show just on that conversation. I do want to bring us back to FISA-Gate because that is the topic conversation here. But
it's all interrelated. I mean, it's all. So, and to your point here on that is, when does the deep state push back? They're about to get indicted. James Comey, I believe, will be the first indictment here in probably August. So they're about to get indicted, which means that,
8/8?
8/8, potentially. August is typically a very, very hot month.
Let me see what day the 8th of August lands on.
So what I'm seeing is Comey will probably be first to go down. And in a lot of August posts are about Comey. September and August timeframes are a lot about Comey. September 11th, James Comey treason. But once they start getting arrested, they know it's only a matter of time before they come for the big dogs. With that being said, that means that they have to orchestrate either national protests that turn violence and turn violent and become riots to begin their process to destabilize the country, to try to undermine Donald Trump, to allow their army that's already here to rise up, or they got to manufacture some type of grid attack, they got to manufacture some type of cyber attack, or even a black swan event. That's what I'm thinking we're heading into right now. And I think that the Trump administration is well prepared for it because they're anticipating it. That's why we have 20,000 troops at the border. But you got to understand, they're not going to give up. They're not going to just say, oh, well, you caught us. Oh, well.
Well, speaking of black swan events, Ivanka Trump, what did she just post? Was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? She has it's a picture of Donald Trump, the fight,
Mm-hmm.
and she's sitting on the it's like a red velvet chair with like gold accents to it. And what are the two stones on either side of the couch? It's two black swans.
Ah.
I'll see if I can find that photo to bring it up right now. A lot of my bookmarks disappeared, but that's okay. You can play with those things. Let me do this since I can't find that one. I want to bring us to 1 second, Josh. If you want to fill the air, you can. Well, I get this. I closed down a realm browser tab, so I'm bringing it up in the history right now.
Right, I'm pulling up something right now. So, you know, when we start to look at what's unfolding, everybody's still talking about Epstein. Epstein. What did Trump say today? Ghislaine Maxwell? Yeah. Let's let her testify. But Todd Blanche is actually going there tomorrow to meet with her. When you've been sitting in jail for 5 years, you want out. You're ready to get out.
You are. And I am monitoring the way they're going to handle this with Ghislaine Maxwell. Dude, don't say it like that. I like saying it like that.
Gillian.
Ghislaine just seems to fit so perfect, though. You guys will figure it out. Think of what the first word of it sounds. But anyways, Maxwell is what's one of the reasons that you wouldn't need testimony from Maxwell? And it's if you already had it all. Correct. And that would be operating under the assumption of either A, they were able to grab this evidence, you know, through the years of the monitoring counter surveillance that they've been doing. Another way that they could have obtained it, again, is 18 U.S.C. 3521, which is what allows our attorney general, the deputy attorney general, to, you know, protect a witness, whether it's, you know, re-identify them, relocating them. But it's also the way you could fake a death or a suicide. Now, with that, I will put an asterisk here. There is no government documentation that 18 U.S.C. 3521's ever been used for a death or a suicide. However, there is no judicial oversight to 18 U.S.C. 35.
You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. Now, what we have had is you've had whistleblowers over the last few decades that have come forward and talked about the DOJ that has used this for death.
Mobsters.
The Gambino family and some of these other cases. You've also had the family that has come out and said that after 15, 20 years, and they said, we were given a death certificate. We thought you were dead. So you do have unofficial through whistleblowers and family that have confirmed that the government has deployed this. But again, bringing it back to 18 U.S.C. 3521, if people want to look it up, this outlines the structure. It explains in there how a judge, there's no oversight. Nobody knows this. You would not know how it's orchestrated.
But I also want to reaffirm what you're saying. So one thing that we've learned, Anna Paula Luna Phase 3 came out the other day, right? And what did she say? Why isn't anybody talking about how Abbott, the under director, or the deputy director of the FBI, destroyed the Epstein evidence? As what she's saying is that Obama holdovers in the DOJ in 2020 came in and destroyed the Epstein evidence. This is why Pam Bondi said today, if you listen to her words closely to what Pam Bondi says today, she says, the joint statement by the DOJ and FBI on July 6th remains as accurate today as it was written. Namely, that in recent thorough review of the files maintained by the FBI in the Epstein case, no evidence was uncovered that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. There is so much to break down there. Number one, recent thorough review, files maintained by the FBI, key and point. There's still some at SDNY, etc. But what did she say? could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Well, is there a third party that's already been charged? Ghislaine Maxwell. So let's assume that it doesn't matter what is Epstein, whether Epstein's in WITSEC, Epstein's dead, it doesn't matter. Okay? It could have been a Rommel trial for all we know. He was just given the option to take himself out, right? What happened prior to Jeffrey Epstein going to jail? Remember, Elon Musk came out and said Donald Trump's in the Epstein files. Then he said Steve Bannon is in the Epstein files. Steve Bannon left the White House after disagreeing with Donald Trump in early 2017, mid-2017. Where did he go? He went and spent a year with Jeffrey Epstein. A year with Jeffrey Epstein. Recording Jeffrey Epstein every day and documenting over 16 hours of testimony from Jeffrey Epstein for a documentary that he's making that they spent millions of dollars on and never released and still haven't released to this day. In other words, right after Bannon's done with Epstein, Epstein gets arrested and goes to jail. 3 months later, he's dead. So what happened there? What happened there is Steve Bannon went in, got all of the information pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein, probably got handed over the actual legitimate files, right? Records it. Now Trump has that. Probably one of the things they're at Mar-a-Lago trying to get. He doesn't release it. He holds on to it because that's good compromise. That's good leverage.
Absolutely.
Then what happens? We have the setup that just came in 2025. They destroyed the evidence at the DOJ. They destroyed it under the Biden administration. So the evidence is all gone. They're like, yeah, we destroyed it. We don't have to worry about that. But then Trump goes out there and he puts the binder out there. Remember? They put the binder out there. You want to know the only new thing that was in the binder?
I think it was like businesses or something like that were in there.
It was a document of custodianship of evidence by the FBI. What happened? The Biden administration destroyed the evidence. The only new thing in the binder was a document that pertained to the custodianship of evidence held by the FBI. Are they trying to tell us something there? He's trying to tell us that the FBI destroyed the evidence. We're showing you here in the binder, and then you have Elon Musk, Donald Trump's in the Epstein files, Steve Bannon's in the Epstein files. The Democrats go crazy. The mainstream media is going crazy. Release it. Democrats today release the Epstein files, and they're like, we're going to have Ghislaine Maxwell come and talk to the DOJ. Why? She's been sitting in a jail cell for 5 years. Let's get her in there and see what she has to say. And imagine her testifying in front of a grand jury or in front of Congress, corroborating her story, and then the Democrats come out and say, well, there's no evidence of that. Throwing the Democrats under the bus that they use partial Epstein juice against many people within FISA-gate. Because that's what the grand jury testimony is going to probably show. And Ghislaine Maxwell comes out and proves this, but the Democrats go, you don't have any evidence. There's no substantiated evidence of this. Ghislaine's just trying to cut herself a deal because Trump's in office, and then boom, Steve Bannon releases the information, the Epstein files, everything that he got. Jeffrey Epstein on video himself admitting it. It's all there. That's the great setup.
I wanted to find, I have one that I want to show you. Do you remember when the DOJ FBI memo came out?
Mm-hmm.
The one that doesn't have any signatures and
January 6th.
That created a lot of the, the one regarding the Epstein files.
Yeah, January 6th. Or July 6th. Sorry, July 6th.
So, and everybody got pissed off about it because they said, they're saying that they closed the investigation with this. There's nothing to investigate no more. And so, you know me, words matter, especially when it comes to law enforcement documents, and that's what it was. Well, if you guys go to page 1, that first sentence on that, it reads that they did a systemic review of the Epstein investigation. When you go to page 2 of that document, at the very top paragraph, it talks about Bongino and Cash did an investigation into Epstein's death. Now, why is this important? Because you have one document that identifies the different usages of words, a review versus an investigation. They did an investigation into Epstein's death, but they did a review of the Epstein case. Now, with that, I want to bring up what Pam Bondi put out today. Let me bring this up on the screen so everybody can see it. See, I can make it a little bit bigger for you guys. There we go.
Yep,
Let me read this real fast.
Yep.
So, the part I want to read is, I'm looking for it. Oh, here we go. Namely, thank you. Namely, that in the recent thorough review of the files maintained. So now you have two different times. You have a memo that doesn't have a signature to it, but they've acknowledged it, at least in portion, as being accurate, that has the DOJ and the FBI logo on it, where they said they did a review of the Epstein case. Here you have Bondi again referencing it. This is today. And what she says, we did a review of the files maintained by the FBI.
Maintained by the FBI.
Why? It's extremely important, the words here, and this is why. And this is what I told everybody. If Pam Bondi would have came to me as the special agent in charge to head this investigation, it was mine. You know what's the first thing I would have told her, Josh? I'm not doing this as a supplemental to the original CR, the original crime report, because I'm going to do an honest job, which means when we do indictments, my report is a supplemental to this original one, like you said, where they've destroyed evidence, where they fabricated things, where you have perjury, there's so much corruption in this case. If I did an honest supplemental case and we finally indict these people and we take them before a jury, well, now you can create reasonable doubt based on how corrupt this other case is. But if I started a new investigation, a RICO investigation, I could review the existing one, not as a report, but as an actual evidence item in of its own. You track where I'm going with this?
I do, because Lane Maxwell is the key that unlocks all keys to it. If Epstein is out of the case, let's say Whitsec were just dead, it doesn't matter. How do you get all those people? Well, you still got the Maxwell case that's still open.
I want to bring up one more.
I know it.
That goes back.
But this.
Well, to bring it back to this one, I have it on two different browsers, so I had him on the same one, but I closed it out, so now I'm having to go back and forth. So my apologies for the pause, because I want to bring it back to Obama. Yeah, President Trump, we saw the video that we started off with. We've had the comments that he said over the last few days. We're in the month of July. This post, let me bring it up on the screen so everybody can see it. This post is dated July 27th of 2019. And it says, this is from Donald Trump. And this is dated December 12th of 2013, his Twitter post. How amazing, the state health director who verified copies of Obama's birth certificate died in a plane crash today. All others lived. When President Trump comes out and he tells us that Obama is the one that started this, you have to understand and look at Obama as a Manchurian candidate. And the reason—
You ever seen the video of that, by the way?
Of which one?
So the plane crashed in shallow water.
Oh, no, I haven't seen the video of the plane.
Oh, yeah.
crash.
So there's the video is out there.
It, but
the
not
plane crashed in shallow water and someone's videotaping it. And you see her get pulled down and there's someone underwater pulling her down and drowning her. I shit you not.
Because I've seen the still where it shows it sitting on the water, but I never even knew there was a video.
It's in shallow water and the people are literally floating or standing in the water. It's not that high. And you see this camera panning and you see her bobbing and you can see a shadow in the water.
No
And she was the
way.
Hawaii director that basically maintained those records. Now,
well, let me wrap up this thought before you go to that. Is the reason I want people to understand this, and it's especially when you got a July 27th date that's going to be coming up here in 5 days. So the next few days, if you guys are watching the replay of this later on, is Trump is establishing a couple of things with what he said. You know, Obama's the one that started this. This was his idea, but he got help from Hillary. He's establishing the head of the snake here. But one of the reasons he's establishing the head of the snake is because it's extremely important that we recognize Obama's in charge, but you have to understand that the history of how Obama got to be in charge, because that's gonna lay the time frame of this criminal enterprise. And I'll get into, I'll let you wrap up the thought here, because I want to get into why people need to understand criminal enterprise, the continuing conspiracy doctrine. But I do want to people, so please go ahead with what you were saying right now.
Let's just throw some red pills out there. Why
Hey,
Obama?
shout out to the audience, Josh. Dude, we have almost 6,000 people watching live.
Hey, what's up, people?
That's just on Rumble, and about 2,000, almost 2,000 that are watching over there on X and YouTube. So Smash that thumb. We appreciate you guys being here with us.
So let's drop some red pills here. Why Obama? Why is he the head of the snake? Why is he the target? Right? Have you ever seen the man cow video talking about with Harry Lennox?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you got to hear this. Let me see if I can find it. By the way, Harry Lennox is from the Blacklist, the head of the FBI guy, Harry Lennox. He just passed away like a year or so ago. Well, I'm probably not going to be able to find the clip. But Harry Lennox is on Mancow, which is an old radio show. And he's talking about how he knows Barack Obama. And he says in the 1990s, he was approached by a famous, very powerful Hollywood producer. And this producer says, hey, I got a guy that I want to shadow you for a few years. I want you to take him around, but more so, I want him to learn your nuances. I want him to learn how to speak like you and to approach people and talk to people like you the way you do. Teach him how to act. Henry Lennox, and if you guys don't know who Harry Lennox is, you've probably all seen him. Let me bring up a picture of him, because you'll realize who he is. Hold on, come on. Well, anyways, Harry Lennox goes on to say that he says, sure, I'll do this, and he gets paid a lot of money to do it, and the guy ends up being Barack Obama. And I shit you not that this is the real deal. So, and you're wondering who he is, we'll pull him up right here so people can say, oh, that's Harry Lennox. This is Harry Lennox. You've seen him on tons of different shows. Oh, I'm not playing it. You've probably seen him on tons of different shows.
Oh, now I recognize the guy. Yeah, now I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm better with faces.
He's on Mancow in 2011 talking about how he groomed Barack Obama to be the great speaker that he is. And he did it for a period of 2 to 3 years. Okay? Now you go in, Obama disappears. All of a sudden, 2004, Barack Obama comes on the scene. Out of nowhere, he's running for senator. Have you ever heard of the Sinclair confessions about Barack Obama? Of how he was giving Barack Obama blowjobs in the car, right? Larry Sinclair.
He's in bad shape right now. Yeah.
Oh, he's dead. I think he's dead. But
did he pass away?
I think he passed away like 2 years ago.
No. He's still alive.
Oh, is he? Oh.
Well, let me make sure we're talking about the same. Yeah, we're talking about Sinclair. He did an interview on Tucker.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually going to come out. He was going to come out of my show, but he's in real bad shape.
Yeah, he's in real bad shape. But he said, if you don't believe me, ask Michelle about the mole on the right side of Obama's, right? So, anyways, Obama rises up out of nowhere to run for a Senate seat in Chicago. Now, did you know that the only way that they knew that Barack Obama could win that Senate seat is if they redistrict that area? Because it's the rich area of Chicago, so they redistricted to actually include all the poor black neighborhoods. Okay? So then he gets elected, and they immediately changed that district back right after that. Now, do you know what family? By the way, the same family that was indicted on federal charges of money laundering in 1998. Same family. The same family is the one that spent the millions of dollars for Barack Obama to get that seat in 2004. Do you know what family that was?
I do know because Colonel told me about it, but I don't remember the name.
The Pritzker family.
Yeah, there you go.
And who's the governor of Illinois? Pritzker. That's who brought Obama up to power. Okay? So then, 4 years later, he runs and wins. But here's the thing. Right before the 2008 election, a company known as the Analysis Corporation, TAC, okay, is caught breaking into federal records, the Passport Administration, and changing the passport records of Barack Obama. Now, interesting enough, do you know who the founder of the Analysis Corporation, TAC, is?
Who?
Let me pull it up for you. And by the way, the guy who broke in was caught. 3 days later, he was found dead in his car with a single gunshot wound ruled a suicide.
Of course.
This is the founder right here of the Analysis Corporation.
I can't read it.
It says John Brennan.
No.
Now,
oh, bro.
so if anybody wants references to this to go out there and deep dive into this, they can go look at Q Post 1018 and 1017. The Analysis Corporation. Track edits. Watch for the magic bot. Go over here. The Analysis Corporation. Happy hunting. Hussein timeline 2017 to today. Cross against POTUS schedule. Cross against White House visitor log. This will become relevant very soon. Now, why is this relevant about the passport? Because apparently what they removed were visitations of Barack Obama's passport to Pakistan in the early 1980s. Now, John Brennan was CIA chief head in Southeast Asia during that time and had been visiting Pakistan multiple different times, and Barack Obama lived in Southeast Asia at that time. The cross correlation is that there is evidence on their passport data that show Barack Obama and John Brennan at the same exact place at the same exact time in the early 1980s. In other words, I want people to understand that Barack Obama is a Manchurian candidate. Barack Obama, his family, is nothing more than CIA operatives. He was recruited. He's a Manchurian candidate. And this is why he's the head of the snake, because he's not the only one. Now, did you see this astronomy CEO that resigned because he was at the Coldplay concert with his girlfriend?
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Do you know who his girlfriend is?
Who?
Do you know who she's married to?
No.
She's married into the wealthiest family in Massachusetts, known as the Cabot family. The Boston Brahmins. This is old American aristocracy. They've chased their roots back to 1690. They ran the Lowells, the Forbes, and the Cabots, ruled the slave trade from 1690s into the 19th century. She's married into the Cabot family. Now, what university in Massachusetts is Donald Trump suing because of their endowment? Harvard. Where do all the secret societies come from?
Yeah.
Ivy League universities. Who are all the members of the Trilateral Commission, the Council of Foreign Relations? They all come from where? Ivy League. What about all the congressional and Senate staffers? Ivy League. You ever notice how all the deep staters are Ivy Leaguers? Because that's where the secret societies are. Well, how did they all stay alive? It stays alive because of the endowments. And what happens, I want to show you this, is that the Low family was actually, Percival Low was one of the heads of Harvard. So the Cabot family married into that. And the Cabots are a large family. They're worth maybe $100 million. But here's the thing, is their money is not in their net worth now. It's in the endowment. They've been giving millions of dollars for over 200 or 150 years to Harvard. They own that place. So what happens? They give money to the endowment, and how does the endowment pay them back? Well, Harvard goes out there with a very limited amount of people that are going to school there, and they get $3.5 billion in federal grants each year. Taxpayer money flows in, and then what happens is you have companies that are contracted out to come in and run these various different science and research organizations with the students in the place. Well, guess who comes in? Those family-owned companies come in and now get paid out with taxpayer dollars, getting a reciprocation full circle of that money that's stored in the endowment, so it doesn't show as actual, real, legitimate assets. But these are part of the American aristocracy. Her husband is the Cabot family. And Donald Trump is suing Harvard right now, as in, that was a message being sent by Trump to them. We know where you're at. We will ruin your fucking lives. We have it all.
Well, Harvard ties right back into the CCP too, because if you go and you research Harvard and Columbia and all them, the amount of money and gifts that come from the CCP into those very specific schools is out of control. That is crazy. I didn't know that. I was curious because I was like, there's more. I know people were writing it off as a distraction. I was like, nah, there's more to it. I mean, if you bring it to the humorous level, The Simpsons even predicted that damn thing. For those of you that haven't seen the memes out there, that's funny. So I knew those are there. I did not know.
So
that.
if you tie it into Harvard, but you have to understand, when we go back to secret societies, we go back to the what I call the deep state intelligence apparatus. What is the deep state intelligence? It's not the CIA at the surface level. It's not the NSA at the surface level. It's not MI6 at the surface level. It is the organizations, the contracting organizations that integrate into them, the NGOs, the large businesses and corporations, the government contractors that integrate into their framework, of which Ivy Leaguers, secret society members, flow into. That is the heart of the deep state. So how do you go after that? Well, you defund it. What is Donald Trump doing? He's going after all these Ivy League universities. He's trying to distribute the money out amongst them, the grant money amongst them. But he's trying to take them down at the same time, because what are they doing? They're inflowing all of these immigrants into our country and not allowing Americans in. In other words, they're swapping out to China this new secret society infrastructure. The Xi family must be, not the Xi, but the Liu family must be, Liu is one of the 13 Illuminati bloodlines, but they must be in power and control. And I believe Xi Jinping actually has relation to them.
This is where people would think we probably scripted the show, because what you just described is perfect for the conversation I want to lead us into in a little bit, which is a criminal enterprise. And this is why I'm saying, when Trump identifies Obama as the head of the snake, but you got to take it back to, like you said, the Manchurian Candidate, the family, the ties that are there. When you go, and I would tell people, go watch the two-part series I did with Colonel Towner on Obama as a Manchurian Candidate, which goes into very details of all this, is because if you want, Russian of itself is going to be a domino that helps collapse this train of dominoes. But if you want this to be an entire takedown of the deep state, you have to show how it's all connected in a fashion through the legal system where you can prosecute that. And that's identifying the criminal enterprise. And what you just described with the NGOs, the colleges, the funding, the people, all the different apparatuses that are involved, because the intelligence agencies and all these things, they're dangerous, but they're also the surface level things. It's the connections that maintain these people in power. It's the funding that goes in here. It's the USAID. It's the National Endowment Fund. All this is part of a criminal enterprise. And if you're paying attention to what Trump is doing right now, he's painting the picture for us folks. When people tell you, oh, it's a distraction, it's not important, he's like, what we call the deep state, you can't prosecute it as a, there's no US statute that says the deep state. You know what there is a statute for? Criminal enterprise. Right. He's putting a legal name, 100%. He's putting a legal name to what we call the cabal, the international crime syndicate, the elite, the 1%. He's making it fit the legal definition, because that's how he's going to push forward with RICO. You're talking Russia, like you said, FISA-gate. And I want to bring up actually, this is a perfect time to bring up the Flynn post to get into one of the things that I wanted to say. When you go and look up these different words, and there's a lot, and it would take a whole show just to go through all of them, but one that I found particularly interesting here is he puts the strategy. And so when you go and you search out the strategy on the boards, I got this out of order here, you guys. Here we go. When you go and pull up the strategy, you have 17 posts that come up. It's just interesting how they just time these things perfect, right? But when you go down here and we look up strategy, we're in July 28th on these deltas, Josh. And what are they talking about? FISA start. FISA. If you go through these things, it's all talking about FISA. It's all talking about the start. And this is from the post that we talked about earlier that had the timestamp, the July 19th date, from General Flynn. 3-star, you ready to serve? If you're joining the podcast late tonight, we covered that stuff earlier on in the show. And now you put out the word strategy. And when you go search it on the boards, there's 17 of them. And on top of that, it's talking about the beginning of FISA, everything that Josh has just been telling us about. Like, bro, seriously?
Just the start.
I mean, I don't know how else to make you guys understand this is not a coincidence. So now I want to take us into the long thing that I had wrote up, Josh. Let me find it right here. There's a lot of people that have been saying, well, you can't charge Russia because it's outside the statute of limitations. I'll drop the link for this for those that want to read it. But what I will say is that is not the case. If you understand what President Trump is doing and what Josh has been talking about with FISA in the start and the connections that are there, what I want you guys all, don't take my word for it. Like Josh said, trust but verify. Go look this up yourself. Go look up the continuing conspiracy doctrine. And if you want to really get into the details of it, go look up U.S. versus Grunwald, 1957. Go look up U.S. versus Salome, 2002. That is a RICO case. Go look up U.S. versus Dyna Electric Company. This is going to show you how they establish the continuing conspiracy doctrine. Now, what you need here for the way they're going to do it in RICO is you got to have a criminal enterprise, folks. On top of having a criminal enterprise, then you got to show that there's specific crimes that they've committed, and they've been doing it on an ongoing fashion. The coup, the cover-up, all these different things. Here's a key point that I will read this. Conspiracy charges have no statute of limitations if the criminal enterprise is ongoing. And when crimes are continuously committed as part of that conspiracy, the timeline resets. Every cover-up, every lie under oath, every compromised official still in office, it all counts. You've just had people come out that are on big podcasts. I've been saying this for a few days now, that are saying, hey, you have to renounce the conspiracy if you want to be out of it. If you want to show that it's no longer an ongoing criminal enterprise, you have to disavow it, which people haven't done it. You still have these people that are in power. You still have all this stuff that's being pushed. You still have certain, vaccine, I'll be careful because I know we're out on YouTube. You have certain things that go into the arm or different parts of the body that are still going out there. RFK is doing a good job of combating it, but people are still asking, why is it still out there? Because you have ongoing crimes that are happening. If you don't get what I'm saying, the shells that Comey put out there, 8540 or 8647, now that hits different because it's ongoing. So here are the different statutes, but here's two that I want to bring up. They're the first two. Now, I did not look at the boards when I did this order, Josh. This was just me working off of my background and experience when it comes to understanding RICO. Because I did this in the gang situation. I wanted to show people how these apply.
But once you're done, I'm going to play for a short little clip for everybody that validate everything you're saying right here.
18 U.S. Code 2384, seditious conspiracy. Now, I'm just going to do these two. I did a whole list of them, but these two, I want you guys to understand how they apply, especially when it comes to Russia. The legal requirements. 2 or more persons conspire to overthrow, put down, or destroy by force the U.S. government, or to oppose by force its authority, or to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States. How's the application of this to the Russia hoax? While force is a required element, courts have interpreted this to include concerted efforts to subvert lawful functions. In certain cases, when paired with other felonious acts, if government officials use DOJ, FBI, and intelligence assets to sabotage a sitting president through fraudulent means, knowing abusing FISA courts, leaking classified information, and interfering with the execution of Article 2 powers, this could constitute unlawful conspiracy to delay or obstruct government functions. This is legally sound as a plausible argument, especially when paired with obstruction, FISA abuse, and RICO conspiracy. The force threshold, which would be the most contested and would require proving institutional power, was weaponized maliciously, and there's already case law that shows how I explained it. The next one I'll read, and then I have one more picture that I want to show, and then we'll go to your video. This is 18 U.S. Code 2381. This is treason. Levying war against the United States or giving aid and comfort to its enemies. Application to the Russia hoax. If evidence surfaces that actors knowingly collaborated with or used foreign intelligence, UK's MI6, Ukrainian sources, or other foreign adversaries to sabotage an American president and to deceive the U.S. public and institutions, it could rise to treason. The aid and comfort standard could apply if hostile foreign entities were knowingly assisting in the destabilization of U.S. governance. This is possible, harder to prove. Stronger if future declassified material shows collusion with hostile foreign actors or foreign countries that assisted in direct harm to U.S. national security would make them hostile actors, if not currently identified as one. Examples of this: Ukraine, Serbia, Five Eyes, etc., the CCP.
Well, also, I want to throw in there Iran and North Korea. Pallets of cash, uranium one. North Korea, Donald Trump 2019 went to, or 2018 went to North Korea. What do you think he got? He got the transcripts of Barack Obama's conversations using Kim Jong-un. We got it all.
if you want to know why Trump brought up treason, if you want to know what some of the charges you're going to probably see, let's go back to the boards and let's look at the picture they put us out. This is 4508, dated June 24th, 2020. And it says Barack Hussein Obama, 18 U.S. Code 2384, seditious
conspiracy.
And 18 U.S. Code 2381, treason, bro.
Isn't it interesting? Those are two of the same words that DNI, Gabbard, and Donald Trump all said, and Mike Davis and all these other people.
100%.
Now, Mike Davis actually validates everything that you just said there in a very, very quick sentence. So he was on Benny, and he's asked about the statute of limitations, and this is what he said.
Limitations, Ben. Generally, the statute of limitations for federal felonies is 5 years. So you say, oh, this was 2016, we're well beyond the statute of limitations. Guess what? You're not, because this is an ongoing criminal conspiracy. When you conspire, in order for the conspiracy to stop, you have to disavow the conspiracy. The ends of the conspiracy have to end. They haven't. They are covering up the conspiracy. They are perjuring themselves. We saw perjury by high-ranking Obama officials during this ongoing criminal conspiracy. I think it was in 2022. So we're well within the statute of limitations. And I would say to these Biden Democrats, justice is coming. I would be very, very scared if I were you. I don't think we'll put you in Mike Davis's gulag, the viceroy's gulag, as we joke, as we troll. But justice is definitely coming, and I think the Bureau of Prisons will have plenty of space for these people.
He's talking.
Whoa, you pulled yourself off screen.
I did. He's talking about Barack Obama. He's talking about Hillary Clinton. He's talking about these people. Now, guys, buckle up. This is going to get good. Now, we're going to see a lot more come out in the course of the next week. Next week's show is going to be off the hook because of what's going to come out over the next few days. Before we do end Alpha, there was a comment that I wanted to take in. I wanted to talk about it because it'll be the scope of one of the shows that we'll do in the future about my favorite Q post, Q142.
Bring it up. I want to see it.
Oh, I can bring the comment up. So this was from Lonesome Fugitive. He goes, the Illuminati started in 1776 in Bavaria by Adam Weishaupt and was known as the League of Just Men. You're not wrong. But actually, there's way more to that. In 1666, Sabbatai Ze'ev declared himself the Jewish Messiah, even though he was an atheist, and went out there and amassed millions of followers. Within the midst of that, the Ottoman Empire actually invaded, and he had to convert to Islam. Then, about 100 years later, Joseph Franks comes along, and they had to convert to Catholicism to hide who they really were. They were Sabbatean Frankists, because Joseph Franks came out and declared himself the rebirth of Sabbatai Ze'ev, the Messiah. And he gains a massive following of a lot of the Ashkenazi Jews, Khazarians, in Europe. Well, this is where it gets interesting because you have Sabbatean Frankism that's birthed up there, and then Joseph Franks moves to Bavaria, Austria, and Hamburg, Germany, where he has two houses. Well, who's his neighbor in Bavaria, Germany? Adam Weishaupt. Who's their other neighbor? Amschel Rothschild. And those three together formed the Order of the Illuminati and began infiltrating Masonic lodges and other secret societies throughout the country, throughout the world. This got to the desk of George Washington, who said, we will not allow the Scottish Rite to infiltrate our ranks here in the United States because they are infiltrated by the Order of the Illuminati. When you go into the Rothschilds funding Napoleonic Wars, when they go into the 1850s, the Socialist Revolution in Europe, if people didn't know this, right at the heart of socialism, when Karl Marx came up, who he was married to a cousin of the Rothschilds, you have the European Socialist Revolution that tries to overthrow the monarchies in Europe. And then this goes into the Bolsheviks. But what births out of Sabbatean Frankism? Political Zionism. Oh, going back that route. That's another show, guys. We will talk about that show another day. That's Q post 142, where it talks about the bloodlines, the illuminated bloodlines. We'll get into the history of all of that. We'll do a lot of those on those like kind of historical Q posts. We will break them down in full scope.
The last thing I want to say, and we'll get into the Rumble rants. And let me let people know ahead of time too. We're not doing the call-ins tonight, you guys. I'm having some technical difficulties with this because I wanted to be, crisp when we do it. So just bear with us because it is our intentions to do that because we have fun with it. We know you guys are going to have fun with it. So hopefully I can get that hammered out. I'm not a techie guy, so I'm working through it. But we'll get into the Rumble rants. But a lot of people right now are saying, well, you can't focus on Russia. You can't focus on Obama. We can only be focused on Epstein. That's the only absolute priority. This is what you guys got to understand. It all leads back full circle to take down these players. Remember this. Did Al Capone go down for all the murders and the crimes that he did? No. He went down for a paper crime, for a tax crime. And so understand that when you have institutions that have destroyed a lot of evidence, compromised it, purged it, false witness, and all these things, President Trump, he is working it so everything's covered. The board say we have multiple scenarios that we're prepared for. And so you guys have to consider that. So understand that they lead to the same thing. And what am I saying that? I'm going to bring this up on the screen. This is actually from a New York Times article. And it's a surprise they put it up there. But when you see this graphic that they put up there, and it shows Sean Podesta to Tony Podesta, to the WikiLeaks emails, to the cooking parties, to the handkerchiefs, the pizza, the comic ping pong, James Alefantis, Instagram posts, the secret code language, Democratic operatives, Hillary Clinton. Now, if you go and you get this post, and you get the one we showed, earlier today, that shows up on the boards too, that has the Obama and the Clinton ones, and you overlay these, what you end up coming to the conclusion of, the majority are the same players, folks. The same players. And so understand, you're going to get this. Now, we all want it to be, hey, we want to see the stuff go down in Gitmo. We want to see the military tribunals. And there's a very strong likelihood that we will. But there's also the likelihood that there's another way to maintain order and humanity in this country and in the world, where these same players go down for stuff that maybe is not the beautiful movie that we picture, but they still go away for the rest of their lives. We don't know, but just understand what Trump is orchestrating is legally sound. So don't lose hope with that, folks.
Well, and I think that what we're seeing actually right now. So just today was announced that the former lawyer of Epstein in the Florida case died today. Right? How many members? We have 10 members of Senate and Congress no longer seeking re-election. Right? So Erwin Rommel never faced a trial. Instead, he was offered a grim choice October 14th, 1944. After being implicated in the July 20th assassination plot against Hitler, either commit suicide or endure a public trial for treason, which would have included public humiliation, family reprisals, and certain execution. By accepting the former, he spared his family and preserved his public reputation. Rommel trials, people. You are going to see a lot of these people probably just mysteriously die and pass away.
I
like
agree
John
with
McCain, because that was a Rommel trial.
Yeah, with the wrinkled flag.
Yep. Rommel trial. John McCain. And you're going to see more of that.
So we had a super chat that came over. That's what they call them in YouTube, right? Super chat?
Yes, super chats.
All right. So from Kathy LaBelle, we'll start with her and then we'll move over to the Rumble stuff. We are all loving this show. Thank you, guys. Well, thank you for that. So with that, let me see. I think I can show that one on the screen too. Boom. There you go. Kathy LaBelle over there on YouTube. Thank you for the $20 super chat. And so now we'll go into the Rumble stuff and I'll bring that on the screen for everybody to see. Let me see if I can make this bigger for all to enjoy. Give me 1 second. Once I do this once, I'll know how to do it in the future. All right, there we go. So we'll start from the bottom. We'll work our way up. $50. Wow. Seamasters. Let's support these guys and show our appreciation for everything they do in the information war. How's about a $5 challenge? I like that. And it looks like Ryan Hayes 72 took him up on that with the $5 and said, I will see your $5. Thank you for that, Ryan Hayes. $10 coming in from the final demand. Flynn mentioned military tribunals in regards to Obama. You hear Trump mention quick trials for dealers, human traffickers since becoming POTUS. Only quick trial we have in MT Montana, right? Was, or I'm thinking it's MT. Was he talking about the deep state? Huh. Well, I did see the video that Flynn put. Actually, I think I might even have it bookmarked if you want to take a look at it. I don't know. I mean, possibly. I mean, there's multiple references to military is the only way. I don't know. You got any additional thoughts on that one, John? Josh? All right. So we move on to the next one. $20 from Listone69. You guys are so informative. Love you guys. Well, thank you. We love you for the support. Shout out. Oh, Breadmaker62. Thank you for being here, Bread. $50. Joining at Seamasters Challenge and raised him by 45. Semper Paratus. Definitely love that. Listone69 coming back $20. You guys are so informative. Love you too. Wow, thank you. Then we got Death Blossom 17, $20 Rumble Rant. Here's to two great minds, Patriots and Warriors. Thank you for that. $20 from Crispy 13, if I read that right. Suicide Weekend Inbound. Finally. I definitely think we're going to be seeing that. $10 coming in from Difo. Probably got help from John Stradzinski, too. Turns out a company he started, Genesis Foundation, was integral and shut down with USAID getting Doged-ified. Infiltration. Oh, I'm going to look that one up. Genesis Foundation. Kyle, $5. I remember the video of 3 special ops guys inside the Capitol building down the stairs. They said, "We're on your side." I have seen that one, Kyle.
And I know who those guys were.
Oh, we'll talk on that one then. $1 from Angie K. Don't forget.
I know what they got.
I think I know what you're hinting at, and you might have referenced it earlier tonight if I'm guessing right.
I did.
$1. Angie K. Don't forget, Bongino was also in Obama's White House as a Secret Service to Obama and Hillary. He's talked about the emails and how Obama knew about Hillary's server, and so did the NSA. $10 from Miss Ray of Freedom Fighter. Get new headphones. Yeah, they're referencing my right ear one over here is
mine bugs me after wearing it for a while.
Yeah, it's I do. I need to get new headphones. They're not cheap, folks. They're not cheap. $5. L Harris 2494. Meeting the $5 challenge. Thanks, guys. Highly informative. Thank you for that. Make sure you guys share this stuff out so everybody can hear it. $5 again from V Ruman. Thanks for the master class. And it's appreciated. $10 from Difo. August 9th is the sturgeon moon at the best time to catch the big blue fish. And you reminded me, August 8th lands on a Friday. So, and we've seen Trump likes to execute things on Fridays, especially with news. $5 from Up North Soon. I hope Muslim Brotherhoods have been labeled a terrorist group. I think we'll probably see that in the future. Wait and stand by. They haven't yet, but there are people pushing for it. $1 from Nathendi, at Nathendi. Okay, I guess that means follow. I will definitely search out that handle. Let's see. $10 from The Final Demand. Wasn't Bannon on Miles Go's yacht when he was arrested? Yes. Is that the right name? He was on someone's yacht when they were there arrested, and it was big. That would be 2 big cases. Bannon was a weird part of it. Yeah, that was Miles Go's yacht that he was on. And he's still in custody, folks. For those of you unfamiliar with Miles Go, that's an interesting one. $5 Texas Jewels. $5 rent challenge. Josh's Deadwood travel fun. I like that. $5 from S. Busen. Challenge accepted. Enjoy the show. Love you guys challenge each other and people answering the call. $20 from Nevada Night Owl. Great show, guys. Thanks for all you do. And you guys keep it going with the support. Trust me, it's appreciated. $10 from The Final Demand. You guys promised to deliver the Q posts in a way we haven't seen yet, and you made good on that promise. Q posts are the base, but the way you guys explain every detail. Thank you. God bless you and yours. And thank you for that support. And we'll keep doing it the way we are. $5 from Garden Guys. Is this the rug to stand on? I'm not sure which one you're referencing. Let's see. That came in at 9:03. So it was about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. I don't know, Garden Guys. I don't know if you want to kind of expand on that. No one answer, so I can't answer your question. I don't know what you're referencing. $2 from Melindy. Loving the show, fellas. Wondering what drop 789 is because of the timing sequence last week. Thanks. I think Josh is going to look that up for you, and we'll have that answer in just a second. 789. Again, $2 from Melindy. Part half developments in Texas scoop to a Texas scorecard independent reporter. And then there's a link there on X. Definitely take a look at that. And then part 2 of that post, developments. Oops, it moved on me. Developments in Texas regarding Operation Lone Star. And then another link to Joseph Trimmer. I will definitely take a look at those. $10 coming in from Ravlin. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you. $5 coming in from, man, you guys are awesome. I thought we would have been done by the list already. But you guys, listen, if you put them there, we'll read them. Tamra C. Flats, $5 challenge accepted. Thank you. Snapcake, $5 challenge accepted. Thank you. JLB 2516, thank you. Great show. Can't wait for the next episode. Neither can I. Rebel Nader, $5. Okay, taking on that challenge. And last one coming from Lopat67. Hot damn. Perfect timing for this show. Thank you, Alpha and Josh. Keep on going. And thank you guys for that support. Josh, were you able to find 789?
Yeah, 789, just global ambassador, global epic, talking about the Gates Foundation. I don't see any of the relevance in the context of where we are at today, so I apologize.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it.
But next week, I think we're going to start taking the phone calls in the last half of the show. So let's put that out there. And I have an outro video. So if we want to play an outro video today, I have one for everybody. Now, if you guys love our intro, that's done by a dude we know. He owns Upside Down Media.
You got it right this time.
Yeah, they're awesome. You can find them Upside Down Media, all one word, on Rumble. They only got a few subscribers, but go over there, give them a follow. My intros are on there, a whole bunch of other videos they made. But the video I'm going to play for you is one that you've probably seen, but it's going to be done in a different way. And you'll see some stars of the show kind of pop up throughout there. There's some good nuggets. There's always Easter eggs in these videos.
All right. Well, we got 2 more that came in at the last second. So let me get these. $5 from Elise. Challenge accepted. Thank you. And $20 from Tina 2X88. Love you guys. $20. Thank you. So with that, Josh, if you're ready, hit play. And you guys, do us a solid. You guys got us up to number 3 on the leaderboard last week. I don't know if you guys
up to number 1.
I was like, holy smokes. I had told Josh, man, I'm going to be happy if we make the top 25. And then it was like top 15. And then it was like top 10. And it was like, holy smokes. And then we're like at number 4. I was like, man, this is great. And then it found its resting spot at number 3.
And Alpha, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can find everything Alpha at alphawarrior.tv, or go search out my Rumble channel, the Alpha Warrior Show. Or if you want to get into the trenches of information warfare, at X Alpha Warrior X. But like I said, that's where you'll find everything me. And you?
Yeah, and for me, guys, redpills.tv. I'm all linked up over there, redpills.tv, or easy redpillproject.substack.com, on X at Real Joshua Reid. Please give me followers up there. I got to catch up to Alpha. At Real Joshua Reid, or just Rumble, Red Pill Project, all one, Red Pill, and then Red Pill Project, all one word, on Rumble. You can search for that, and you should see my videos come up there. So appreciate all the support, guys. And we're going to allow Upside Down Media take you guys out. I got to figure out how to do this. All right.
With the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
Shadows in the sky, footsteps in the night behind me.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering, do
you were born into bondage. Born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
Fluids reaching across the country. Get vaccinated. You'll risk losing your job.
Protests now at the storm, the barbed wire fence protecting
It's cross clean.
people resting. The Department of Justice is speak through. Dropping off their ballots.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
I suddenly feel like things couldn't possibly get any worse.